It's back to Ngunnawal country and back to do section 2 and 3 of the Centenary Trail. As we travel through the city of Canberra, I revelled in the clear and crisp and cool morning, excited and a little bit nervous about the days to come. We decided to leave our car in the picturesque village of Hall, which is at the end of section 3, and make our way to our start point at the Guru Yaru Nature Reserve on Horse Park Drive. Whilst I might have made a little bit of a joke last time we were here about this being kangaroo jail, I really do appreciate the efforts that Canberra is making towards protecting our native wildlife. Fun fact, those fences are cat-proof and fox-proof and are electrified. Hello again, Larissa here. Welcome to my channel. We are on a grand adventure today. The plan is that we're going to walk section 2 of the trail and camp at the Northern Border campsite. So tomorrow we will walk section 3 and we should pop out in Hall and Village, and that will be the conclusion of the adventure. Now I've got some new stuff to try. My new Christmas hiking poles from Compodel and some different gear combinations, and we have a new tent, so there's a whole bunch of things that we're going to try today. And I think as I go along I will share with you what you need to know about this trail. There's a little bit of a hiccup this morning with transport, but we sorted that out. Thank you Uber to the rescue. Don't go easy cabs in Canberra, it was rubbish. Anyway, we are walking through the reserve right now, and the weather is looking beautiful. It's a bit overcast at the moment. We're aiming for about 27 degrees and there's a nice light breeze blowing at the moment, so it should be really lovely. See you soon. We're about a third of the way in, and that's about 5.5 kilometres, and we're just entering the Mulligan's Flat Nature Reserve. The walking so far has been easy, and hopefully it's going to stay that way for a little bit longer. It's nice and cool. Flies are starting to bother me a little bit, but I'm listening to a book and enjoying the walk. At this point we were leaving Guru Yaru Nature Reserve and entering Mulligan's Flat Reserve through another cat-proof, fox-proof, electrified gate. We stopped to talk to a couple of cyclists at this point as well, who were really interested in what we were doing. And as the name suggests, Mulligan's Flat is indeed quite flat. Not long after we entered the reserve, an echidna crossed the trail in front of us, and I'd never seen one in the wild before, so I stopped to watch it for a little while. It was bigger than I expected, about the size of a soccer ball, and it seemed unworried by us as we stood and watched it quietly. Fun fact, echidnas are one of only 2 egg-laying mammals in the world, the other one being the platypus, both of which are found here in Australia. The trail surface as you go through these reserves is really smooth and well looked after, and it made for pretty easy walking. At this point we found a bench and decided that it was time to stop and have a little bit of a rest in the shade of a tree. We continued to see small dams throughout these reserves, and this is probably one of the larger ones in Mulligan's Flat. So just here in Mulligan's Flat, I've reached the toilet in the rest area, and this is surprisingly good. So there's a number of different toilets here. Which one? So we'll do a quick little review. So there's a bin, there's a flushing toilet, there's some sort of pump system, there's toilet paper, paper towel after you wash your hands, and a working sink. All in all, it's pretty clean, doesn't smell. I'm happy. The toilets were located here behind the historic wool shed. We have exited Mulligan's Flat. I think we've been going for about 8 kilometres, and so we're just maybe over halfway, around halfway to the campsite. So as you exit the reserve, you skirt along next to houses, and then we should hopefully curve back into the bush very shortly for the uphill climb to the campsite. Okay, we're about 10 k's in. We have fully exited Mulligan's Reserve, and we are now on an actual concrete path next to a road, next to a rather lovely housing estate. I'm not sure how long this goes for, but I will bring you back shortly and we'll see. Okay, so we're off the bike track, the concrete path. That was just under a couple of k's long. We've crossed over the road, and now I think we're in Little Mulligan's. Now you can actually take a shortcut to the Northern Border Campsite up that hill. I believe it's around about 3 k's, but we're going to follow the actual Centenary Trail officially and go this way, and we think it's around about 5 from here. At this point, the trail has now moved away from the road, though I can still hear it in the distance. And the surface is kind of like a slate or something that's really interesting to look at as I walk along. I think we've got about 3 k's to go. The trail moved away from the road, and the view started to open up on either side of the trail into these rolling grassy hills, which in these overcast conditions felt calming and soothing as we walked. To feel a little bit fatigued at this point, but despite that, me and my #1 fan posed for a happy snap. Okay, climbing again, and right here to my right is the border for the ACT and New South Wales. So I was just reading an information thing that said that when they surveyed the border back in 1911, that they've made this kind of zigzag line so that the water shed, like the way the water sheds down the land, would flow into the ACT. So that's a fun fact for the day. Anyway, onwards and upwards, almost there. Can't come soon enough because my feet are really sore now. And then just like that appeared a shingleback lizard to entertain me and take away all my feelings of tiredness. We're now on this different surface, a single track, and the views continue to open up over the city of Canberra. It's beautiful. We started to descend down this flowy little single track, and I knew the campsite was close, and I was so ready to be done for the day. And just like that, nearly 17 kilometres later, we arrive at the Northern Border Campground. Ta-da! And probably not a moment too soon. I am so excited because we have arrived at the campground and have finished section 2 of the Centenary Trail. So, number 1 fan is behind me there somewhere. Where is he? There he is. Right now, we're going to set up our camp and get off our feet because I am exhausted.
Snuck out for a Friday night without you guys. Section 2 of the Centennial Trail.
Okay, so we're all set up here in the campground, and I thought I'll just give you a little bit of a tour. It is quite a nice little campground actually, so let's go. Right, so you enter just up in the top corner of the campground there, and the whole campground is completely fenced, and we have seen some kangaroos actually jumping down alongside that fence. I believe it's private property on both sides, so there are signs up everywhere that say stay on trail, trespassers will be prosecuted. So gently sloping the whole thing, except for these sections here which are pretty flat. There's this section where you can set up a couple of tents on the flat and under cover, and there's a rainwater tank there. You're not supposed to drink it unless you filter or boil it, so just be aware of that. Just over there, you can also see another shelter. There is a tent platform, it's pretty small though, and another rainwater tank, and a picnic table and seats, which is where we've kind of set up for the afternoon because there's nobody else here just yet. I think these bars over here as well are for maybe buying up horses, or because I think horses can use the trail as well. So there's a couple of those in the campground, or maybe you lean bikes against them, I'm not really sure. Alright, so there's our house just there. There's an information marker over here as well. And the best bit, I'm going to take you for a quick loo review. So loo review number 2 of the trip, and this pit toilet is something else. Not sure how someone in a wheelchair might make their way up to the campground, but anyway, it's got a working sink there that works off a rainwater tank, which was the bomb. Not sure what's in the locker, I didn't look. There are railings, toilet paper, and it was super clean with absolutely no smell. There was a few cobwebs in the top, which is to be expected, but apart from that, this is probably one of the cleanest pit toilets I've ever been in a campground. Just panning down to the bottom of the campground, you can see here this is where we'll exit in the morning to commence section 3. And then as we pan back into the campground, it was such a beautiful cool afternoon. It was a lovely breeze blowing. It was so refreshing after a long day on our feet. And there's number 1 fan making his way off to the toilet. Just in case you're interested in the setup inside our tent, we're in our new Nemo Dagger Osmo 3-person tent. This is quite a roomy tent, it's quite palatial. So what we've got, Brendan's on this side, he's got his One Planet quilt, he has got his climate mat. He really loves these climate mats, but it also has a fitted sheet with a pillow barn, and he stacks a couple of pillows in here. Well, actually, no, it's one pillow. It's like a Cedar Summit pillow, and then he puts his sit mat underneath it, and that gives him the right height, and he really likes that. On my side, I'm on my Nemo Tensor Alpine mat with my Alton fitted sheet, which I love, and my Exped Mega Pillow, which is in the pillow barn here that you can see. I've got all my little gadgets and things up this end. There's plenty of pockets and stuff in here as well. There's also a gear loft, and Brendan has carted in our little Roven camp fan, which is also a light. So that's our little piece of luxury, but he carried it. It'll last about 7 hours on low overnight, so that's enough until you get to the cool hours of the morning. It's a really good little thing. And then, yeah, gear loft, and then there's a number of other pockets, and this one I think is for you to put your light into so that you can cast that down, and it gives it a nice little glow. More pockets. The zips are really good, and yeah, it's really roomy. There is actually like a little gear holder thing that we didn't bring that you can actually put in one of the vestibules as well, but that is not here, so I can't show you that. And there's a flying here, yeah. So pockets galore. Loving the tent. We'll see how we go tonight. And our piece of luxury here. Some kangaroos or wallabies, I'm not sure which, provided us with some evening entertainment as they had made their way through the gates into the campground to graze on the lush green grass. They were alert and appeared wary of us, so we kept our distance. Not long after this, it was our dinner time, and then our bedtime. And after a good sleep, it was day 2, and we were ready to get going. It was a really cool night, and we both had quite a restful sleep, and we were keen to get going on our approximately 14-kilometre trek back to Hall this morning on section 3. So we headed out of the campground and through the gate, but before we did, we took one last look at the campground and said bye-bye, thanks for a great stay. To our surprise, about 100 metres from the exit gate to the campground was this small dam. What a beautiful morning. I feel refreshed and relaxed and happy to be hiking again. So we're officially on section 3 and we've just left the campground, as you've seen, and apparently it's about 3.5 hours walking, 13 k's to Hall Village. So I'm not 100% sure whether that excludes the One Tree Hill optional side trip, and we'll see how we feel in a bit as to whether we actually go up that. So we're on a lovely single track, and this morning we've seen quite a few runners, trail runners, and even a couple of cyclists. The terrain's a bit different here, and it's actually nice just to be walking through something that's less exposed. And we had a good night, had some good food from Camper's Pantry, slept pretty well, all things considered, for a camp sleep. And today I've got some different socks on, my Njinji hiker socks, which have a merino toe liner and like an oversock, and I've got those on. But my body's pulled up pretty well after that 17 k's yesterday. Sure, I'm sore and I know I've worked, but apart from that, I feel pretty good. My pack is also 3 kilos lighter because I don't have to carry as much water today. And in fact, at the campground, there was plenty of water in the rainwater tanks. So we were pretty lucky. So I've actually just filled my water bottles, and that should hopefully get me to haul because the weather's looking reasonably cool this morning. This is absolutely divine coming through here. Beautiful shaded gully. I'm loving it. All right, I'll see you in a bit. The trees through these gullies were shedding their bark, which seemed to give them all different personalities. C is for Canberra. The trail's opened up now, and it's been quite a flowy single track, so I can see why the mountain bikers like it. It's really lovely, and now I'm out in the sunshine. It's breezier out here and cool, and I'm just reflecting on yesterday and how my gear went and how my body's feeling physically. A little bit of a tenderness in my right ball of my foot. Kind of started with that yesterday, and it went away. So I'm just being careful not to walk on sharp rocks and take it easy. I want to talk about my sunglasses for a second. I've got these Oakley holdout sunnies, and I've got 2 pairs of them in different colours. But both of them have got these amazing iridium lenses, and it just makes really comfortable wearing and visually. So I've just found that I can wear them through shaded areas as much as out in the sun, and I'm really impressed. So I am loving them, and they weren't even that expensive. Bought on sale as usual, weapon of mass consumption style. But yeah, fantastic. I can smell animals. So we're walking through farmland at the moment, and these beautiful rolling hills. And I guess I know I'm at the start of the walk this morning, but I'm just feeling really strong and confident, and like I can really take on Ireland. Or maybe C is for Centenary. There's quite a few fallen trees through this section as well, and this particular one formed a natural archway, and I felt just a little bit royal as I walked through it. This one felt Lord of the Rings-ish. We crested a small hill and we left this wooded area, and the sky opened up, and you can see the patterns that were made by the hot aircraft engines as they passed through the cold air above us. The terrain then was pretty much like this for the rest of the day mostly, and the trail was flowy, the single track was pretty easy to walk on, and we saw a number of trail runners and cyclists along the way, so it's a pretty popular section. I'd imagine in really hot weather it could get a little bit warm out here though. This is the halfway point for us, and we whipped out our Helinox chairs and sat and had a snack and a drink and a rest for about 15 minutes. Then we started to do a little bit of climbing and ran into a patch of wildflowers, and as we were gaining in elevation we started to near the suburbs of Canberra, which started to appear over on our left. Wow, check that out. Worth a climb. But we're not at the top yet. The distance is Black Mountain. We're on the home stretch now, so there's only a couple of k's to go. We've hit the trails, a lovely smooth single track, just past One Tree Hill. We've hit the edge of Canberra. So you can see the new suburbs down there. It's very orderly and very neat. Looks very lovely from up here. So yeah, it's all downhill from here to Hall Village, well, more or less. We're seeing a lot more day walkers now and a few more cyclists. All morning there's been this beautiful sky art. So it's obviously very cold up there, and the aircraft are creating these beautiful lines through the sky that I've already shown you. Over in the distance you can see Black Mountain. And then back this way, civilization. As we are covering these last few kilometres into Hall Village, we've curved back around the hillside and it's a little bit more tree canopy here, a little bit more shade. But I have to say that we have been absolutely lucky with the weather here in December in Canberra. It's been super green, and they've obviously had a decent amount of rain because there's been sort of water flowing across parts of the trail as well in sections. But yeah, it's been cool. Last night it was probably 12 or 13, 12 degrees maybe at the campsite. It was like air conditioning in the tent and it was made for a really, really pleasant sleep. But as we finish section 3, as we're getting there, I am feeling tired now and my feet are a little bit sore, so I'll be ready to finish soon, and then it will be off to Capital Brewing for a little treat and head home. I will bring you back when we are closer to the village, and then that'll be almost the end of the adventure. I can't believe I've done it. Really a lot stronger than I think. You know, my pack's a lot lighter today, which is great, not having to carry all the extra water that we carried yesterday. So that's making it easier, and this last couple of Ks is so lovely. It's so pleasant and downhill, which makes for nice end of hike walking, end of adventure walking. Right. This, I believe, is the end of section 3 officially. It looks like this is where all the day walkers park as well. So we're in Hall, but we have a bit more of a walk to go to where our car is parked, because we parked it in the village, because that's where we were picked up yesterday morning by the Uber. So I guess let's carry on. Down the road. So section 2 and 3, pretty easy all things considered, and I think suitable for novice hikers and backpackers. We did it! That's the end of section 3. I'm sore and I'm tired, and I cannot wait to get this pack off my back and go and have our little drinky poos at Capital Brewing. So that's it, and that's all. Hike long and prosper. See you next time. And as always, thanks for watching.